Hey, good morning, good morning, good morning. Y'all know what it is. It's me, your boy Trey, and you're rocking with your favorite vets on the next first formation morning sports talk. You heard the term fall in. Let's get to it. Let's talk about it. Of course, not gonna get to exactly what y'all looking at. Just of course, foremost, we would like to say congratulations to the 2023 NBA champions, the Denver Nuggets. Got something for that. I'm mean, talking over out in a second. But first and foremost, get the other things out the way. We talked yesterday briefly about the NCAA's men's super regionals. Of course, two teams left to punch their ticket into the World Series tournament. Those teams being the Texas Longhorns and number eighth ranked Stanford. And Stanford pulls off the dub, winning 7-6 to win the series 2-1 and punched their ticket into the super regional. I mean, into the tournament. Last but not least, the Southern Miss versus Tennessee. Tennessee with a shutout in the closeout game. Um, in their game three, winning the series by the score 2-1, in which they go forth and move on. So now the stage is set with the games beginning to begin on Friday. First up, of course, uh, in the double elimination tournament. Oral Roberts will be facing off against TCU, and Virginia faces off against Florida for the first of the 8 teams remaining. The other 4 teams will play Saturday with Stanford facing off against number one Wake Forest and Tennessee to be do battle with LSU, fifth ranked LSU. Excuse me, I'm so sorry. So we should that kicks off the double elimination tournament Friday and Saturday. So if your favorite team is there, get your popcorn. What's good, TT? Glad to see you. Good morning to you as well. Hope you're having a gracious day. Congrats to Denver continuously. We will continue to give them their praises, give them their flowers, of course. Today, no WNBA action yesterday, but they is going down tonight as the Mystics take on the Fever, one of 3 Commissioners Cup games tonight. The Atlanta Liberty will take on Atlanta Dream takes on the New York Liberty, and last but not least, the Seattle Storm against the Mercury. Um, what else we got? What else we got? Oh, of course, now that the NBA, NFL is done, full swing now for Major League Baseball as they get ready to get into it, or get further into it. Of course, being that it's June, Atlanta Braves take an L to the Detroit Tigers last night by the score 5-6. Colorado Rockies just get past the Boston Red Sox by a score of 4-3. The Tampa Bay Rays, excuse me, fall to the Oakland Athletics by a score of 4-3. Philadelphia Phillies go down to the Arizona Diamondbacks 9-8. Miami Marlins and the Seattle Mariners. Seattle Mariners give the shellacking 8-1. Cincinnati Reds take out the Kansas City Royals by a score of 5-4. St. Louis Cardinals fall to the Giants 4-3. And last but not least, the Los Angeles Angels edge out the Texas Rangers by the score of 9-6. So, of course, last night, I'm very sure no one is so I'm very sure no one doesn't know or isn't aware. Nikola Jokic, Jamal Murray, Contavious Caldwell Pope, Aaron Gordon, Bruce Brown, Christian Brown, Jeff Green was able to pull off the improbable. I guess you can't say improbable. As yesterday, I guess it was only a few people that wasn't. What's good, Eric? What's going on, bruh? How you doing, fam? Sorry about the cook. Moving on, I'm very sure y'all find someone to replace him, or have someone already in the house to replace him. But those names in which I just mentioned pulled off what four. Let's do a backdrop first. Let's do a little backdrop first. If you didn't know, if you didn't know, in 1976 there was a merger. That merger, of course, brung a some teams together into a certain organization. Of those teams, that being the New York Nets, the Indiana Pacers, the Denver Nuggets, and the San Antonio Spurs. Those teams merged into the then the ABA in 1976, 47 years ago. Come forth a little, of course, sell those four teams. If you hear the names of which I said, the New York, the Nets, the Pacers, the Nuggets, the Spurs, some of those teams are in lore when it comes to championships, being the San Antonio Spurs, the New York, the uh, the Indiana Pacers, and the New York Knicks have all been to championships. Of course, San Antonio being one of the ones to win. So out of those four teams, the Denver Nuggets was the only team that was left that had not yet been to the NBA Finals or won an NBA Final. Of course, now there remains none, as now um, Denver Nugget has slayed the dragon of illusion and became NBA champions last night. As if you was on yesterday, y'all heard me speaking and talking. I just knew I had it all figured out in my head. Miami was not going home last night. What's going on, Mike? Glad to have your information, brother. What's going on, man? How you been doing? Appreciate it, sir. It's a grind, I tell you. But we'll continue to get it in, get it in. So I just knew I had it all written. I had it all in my head. 19. I mean, I just had the whole scenario played out. David Thompson, Denver. Yes, David Thompson, the original one of the original NBA players. Uh, Fat Lever, triple the original getting triple doubles back then. A bunch of actually people in there. The Kimbe Combo. Um, but yes, taking consideration, I just knew it. It was going down. They was going to win Game 5. They was going to go back to Miami Game 6. End up getting Tyler Hero back. They was going to win the emotional Game 6 in back at home, but they was going to probably come home and fall to the Nuggets in Game 7 on the Nuggets home floor. So it just would have held off a little bit, just making it a bit more exciting for viewing fans. But June 18th is when I expected the tournament to have ended. But oh, was I incorrect? Last night, of course, Jimmy Butler, 21 points, 3 rebounds, 5 assists, 3 steals. When you take that in consideration, Jimmy Butler, between quarter 1 through 4, only scored 8 points. So he dropped 12 points in the fourth with a couple of 3 pointers, um, free throws after he was shooting a 3 pointer, got fouled by Aaron Gordon, and then of course a field goal and another free throw. Jimmy Butler was came on late. Obviously, you can tell that it was. Of course, what we're hearing now is that he was hobbled a bit. But Jimmy Butler, 21 points, 3 rebounds, 5 assists, 3 steals. Bam Adebayo, 20 points, 12 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal. Kyle Lowry and Max Struess, 12 points apiece, 9 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals, 1 block for Lowry. Struess, 8 rebounds, one assist, 1 block. So Struess finally showed up after being gone for the most part the whole season. The whole series. Caleb Martin, 10 points, 5 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal, 1 block. Gabe Vincent, 6 points, 3 assists, 1 steal. Kevin Love, 3 points, 2 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal. I'm sorry. So we hear the numbers, right? Duncan Robinson, 5 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 blocks. It sounds like a regular game. There's nothing really to see there, of course, um, unless you take in consideration and look at the 3 point, where basically they shot 25% from three, going 9 of 35. At one point, they were shooting better 3 pointers than Denver. Had a 7 point lead at halftime, holding on to it, jostling back and forth throughout the final 2 quarters of the game, competing. Everyone competing for the most part. Max Strus shooting up 3 pointers like they're going out of style, but evidently he had the green light to get going. Shooters are going to shoot. Now the opposite side of the spectrum, of course. Nikola Jokic going out 28 points, 16 rebounds, 4 assists, 1 block on the night. His running mate, Jamal Murray, 14 points, 8 rebounds, 8 assists, 1 steal. Although he ended the series with a double figure in assists, he broke his record of consecutive assists in one double-digit assists in the series. Just missing by 2. Contavious Caldwell Point, 11 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals, 3 blocks. Michael Porter, again, we discussed this. Everyone can't wake up at the same time. Jeff Green, Aaron Gordon, 4 points apiece, 7 rebounds, 1 assist, 2 steals, 1 block for Gordon. Green, just 1 assist. Christian Braun, 7 points, 2 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 block. Bruce Brown, 10 points, 6 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal. So looking at that and listening to that and hearing that, honestly, like we talked about yesterday, we was going back and forth. For the most part, everyone was like, they're not going to do it. Of course, they end up doing it. They said Miami wasn't going to be able to do it, which they couldn't. They didn't accomplish the mission. Excuse me. And all initially, like I said, the Denver Nuggets it wasn't too good. Shooting only roughly 18% from 3, 5 of 28. Again, yesterday we discussed and talked about how basically the Denver Nuggets, all the Miami Heat have to do is be better than the Nuggets. They don't have to be perfect. They just have to be one better than the Nuggets. In which, for the most part of the game, that's exactly what was going on. And that's without Jimmy Butler, who, like we said, at one point was just down in the dumps. He wasn't contributing really. 8 points in 3 quarters, and then he came on late. So we talked and we discussed. We said all they had to do was capitalize on what Denver wasn't doing, which they was doing. Kyle Lowry came in, you're saying threading needles, pushing the pace, taking some bad shots, honestly. But he did make some shots when it was needed. Um, I think the one of the X factors, of course, was remember a couple of years ago we talked about Wiggins and his defense during during the championship during their championship run. I think last night or the whole series is what we seen in reference to Aaron Gordon guarding uh, Jimmy Butler, basically just making the difference, changing the game, of course, of the game. Um, but we said all they had to do was capitalize on the mistakes, in which for the most part they was until they start making mistakes. Um, like I said, taking ill-advised shots on during the course of the game. You had the same thing going on with Jimmy Butler. Made a couple of errant passes. The biggest one, of course, was in the waning seconds of the game, while when he got deep in the paint, went to try to find some help. Tried to kick it out, I think, to Max Strus, in which um, errant pass. Contavious Caldwell Pope gets the steal, and then they go and they foul. And then it basically comes off the wheels from there. He goes down, knocks down KCP, knocks down two free throws, puts them up by 3 points. Next shot comes down 3 seconds into the clock. Into the once across our court, 3 seconds in, she takes us 3-pointer, which I believe they needed at least to try to put the pressures to try to tie the game instead of trying to go down and walk themselves back in, because at any point they would have probably still been at that three and going waiting for three down by three. It missed rebound. At that point, I walked over. I knew the game was over. What I see was a lot of, and I think Van Gundy said it last night. There was a lot of trying to force the ball into Jimmy, I guess, to get Jimmy going. Of course, Jimmy's that personality that he's going to shoot that. I don't think he's going to deny it. He's going to do what he's got to do. But there was a lot of shots in which I was like, why are they shooting? Gabe Vincent was a little hotter than some of them, but he wasn't taking shots. Um, of course, during the switches, I don't know how you leave Gabe Vincent on Nikola Jokic, but those switches was causing those matchups. Of course, Jokic was going to work. It was a couple of times in which it looked like he was delegating not to, but Jokic was going to work. What's good, Leslie? Glad to have you. Yes, Nuggets NBA champions. Um, so he was going to work. There was a couple of which he didn't take advantage, but in state it was a lot in which he did. And sometimes it was against Bam. It didn't matter who was on him. He put him in, got him on his hip, backed him down. Or the, so it was a lot, man. It was a lot. But in state, it sees the Nuggets victorious. Now it becomes a question of how do they continue to do? Is this the beginning, the start of a new dynasty when you take in consideration? When you look at it, Nikola Jokic chosen 41st in the 2014 draft, 28 years old, only been in the league 8 years, already a two-time MVP, an NBA champion, an NBA champion MVP, can argue a hell of an argue that he probably should be a three-time back-to-back MVP. But in any case, I'm very sure he's willing to trade the NBA Finals MVP for that league MVP without a doubt. Now, where do they go from there? What is the ceiling for the Denver Nuggets? Of course, we know they found their way, as we discussed yesterday, found their way back into the draft that takes place on the 22nd um, of this month. Found their way back in um, already with a couple of trades, giving up their 2029 first round pick for a 2023 first round pick and second round picks in which that they have in their arsenal. So I wonder who are they looking at? Who are they looking to bring in as the other NBA teams scramble to figure out the same thing and try to make moves? But for the Nuggets, currently they are the defending champions, and they get to go and chill and have a parade and be celebrated. Um, when you look at the the Cronky family does it again. They're gladly to celebrate and take it all in. What's going on, Stanley? What's going on, brother? How you doing, fam? Oh, General. Um, I mean, what can you say? They went and did exactly what they needed to. Um, Dominant fashion, losing one game of their last four, going 8 and won in the last two rounds of the NBA championship to claim victory, defeating the Los Angeles Lakers in a sweep in the conference championship, and then only losing one game, the only game they lost the whole year on their home court, on their home floor, going 9-1. I mean 8-1 uh, on their home court. They did it. Now, of course, spoils to victor. They get to hold on to that for another 365 days. Just about, um, well, hold on as the reigning. They're always going to be champions, but now they hold on as the reigning champions. Would they try to run it back? Is it a possibility? Do they get a chance to run it back? Do teams come? You got to think, and probably the Boston Celtics, of course, ran into a buzzsaw in Miami. Then Miami ran into the buzzsaw in then Miami ran into the buzzsaw with with the with Denver and Nikola Jokic. Is he the most dominant player right now in the NBA? Is that a fair assumption? Can you say that? Is that fair to put out there? Nikola Jokic is the most dominant player in the NBA right now. Very astute in depth in his skills. His bag is pretty deep. A walking triple double. So what are we saying now? What can we take from this outside the fact that they're victorious, they're champions that you cannot take away. Um, you have Jamal Murray, who was just um, recovering from almost out 2 years after recovering from a ACL tear in that year. I still look at it. Had he not went out um, the Lakers game before had he not went out in the series before the Lakers when they went on to play the Lakers and the Lakers gave him a 4-1 sweep in the bubble, we might not have seen LA with a championship. Jamal Murray was clicking during that time frame, no different from where he was this year, coming back after 2 years, basically picking off where he left off from. With a stronger cast, of course, Michael Porter Jr. back, like you said, talked about he had back problems. He wasn't wanted by any particular teams. That year, he was a top prospect out of Missouri. Um, so potentially, when you look at it and how the construction of this team was, it was a bunch of guys um, that wasn't probably highly sought after, touted in state. Bruce Brown wasn't wanted by anyone last year in during free agency. He ended up getting picked up by Denver. Aaron Gordon was cast off from Orlando in the trade that moved him and his running mate Vucevic. Gordon going to Denver, Vucevic going to Chicago. Uh, Hell, when you think about it, the um the trade that sent Carmelo Anthony to the New York Knicks was the draft pick that brought in Jamal Murray. So it's funny how the tables turn. It's funny how it all goes down. And then when you look at everyone that's been through Denver, like you said, the Dikembe Mutombos, the Kimbe's, the Alex Englishes, the Muhammad Abdul Rauf, Dave Thompson, all those players that's been through Denver didn't get a chance to taste championship for themselves, but as an organization, um, they get a chance to enjoy it and look at it like I was part of an organization that has won the NBA championship. Now it all comes to fruition for them, of course. Um, but yeah, those guys was who were these guys? Who's seen this coming in state? Of course, once he started to playing, we knew it. We taking a look at it, but who's seen it coming for the most part? Who would have thought Aaron Gordon, Contavious Caldwell Pope, who already had a championship because he won the championship versus versus the Miami Heat in the 2000, what was that, 2019, 2020, correction, 2020 NBA championship. Funny how the tables turn. Two times, run it back. He was able to run it back. He defeated the Miami Heat as a Laker for the championship, and 3 years later, he defeats the Miami Heat as a Denver Nugget for the championship. He went through the team in which he played on the winning championship on a team that lost to that said team. So Ken Tevye is called a Pope, basically rubber band match, just switching uniforms. But KCP, he made it happen. Got to feel good. But in any case, uh, that's old news. Denver Nuggets did exactly what was needed to be done, holding on to the number one at the point in which they got to the top of the mountain. They held on to said mountain the whole time, not relinquishing anything, um, and basically slowly but surely grinding it down. Really, it seems like, in my opinion, it seemed like they really started to do more damage when they got into the, I guess if it was a boxing match, the championship rounds, being the semifinal. I mean, the semifinal and the championship, or the NBA Western Conference Finals, and then the NBA championship is when they did the most damage, put in the most work, and really locked in. One loss, a gentleman sweep. Could Miami had did away without that win? Um, but in any case, that's just what it is. Um, Now, if you look at the Miami Heat, where do they go from here? How do they build on a better team? Will this and basically put it in perspective to where Pat Riley and company, the Eric Spoelstra, decide, hey, we got to bring in some help from Jimmy Butler. Does Jimmy Butler need help? Do they need length? Like, what are we looking at? What's the ideal when you look at how Miami can get better to build on this? Although just the year before they were a number one seed, um, this year conference champions. Um, so Miami doesn't have, like they say, there's no more victories, but Miami has done a lot. Uh, hugely apart. Saying no need to hang their heads down. Denver did to them what they did to everybody else in the Western Conference, and so why would they have been any different for the most part? Instead, when you look at it, so I greatly think that Miami has some things to do. Of course, pending a lot of players that are getting ready to come into that's going to be coming to the league with the draft. Also, wielding and dealing and making some moves. Who's out there now that would be open to going to Miami to be like, you know what? I think they got what it takes. We're going to run it back in Denver. We're going to run it back in Miami. They had a bunch of role players possibly that basically caught fire at the right time, but just couldn't get over the hump when it came down to it. You know what I'm saying? When Max Struess, Caleb Martin, Gabe Vincent, Duncan Robinson, Tyler Hero was out. Then, of course, you have Bam um, and Jimmy. It says Denver is the next a threat for the next 5 years. Miami is done. Won't be back in the finals next season. So they probably won't be back next season, Donovan. True enough, but I think they're going to have an opportunity. But we don't know. Honestly, we don't know. It's a lot of free agents out there, and someone might put a rabbit out of their hat, and next you know, make some trades, and then a one trade could possibly bring it. If I mean, pending that the money is there, one trade can possibly bring a barrel of riches to Miami to where it's like, okay, this is the spot. We're finna run it back here. One trade might be doing that to where yes, one player might go there, team up with Bam and Jimmy to where it's like okay, to where then they could get some role players in there or some bench help to be like, oh yeah. this this might be the spot. So it's I think it's possible. It's possible for Miami to go back. Um, just say Damian Lillard. Damian Lillard. A trade happens that brings in um, a couple of draft picks and maybe two players or something like that. Someone's going to be expendable, definitely. Uh, but that's the type of trade that could happen. Then go Miami releases a couple of players, the Oladipos of the world, and a couple others. Let them off the roster. Bring in some other players. Then now you have a back. Kyle Lowry might be expendable. He might have to go, or he might be sent away. Lowry, maybe Hero to Portland, some draft picks, and now they go and reconstruct a Dame Lillard and Adebayo and Butler is not bad. You get Jimmy off the ball. You got a Assassin and Lillard. That'll be a problem in my opinion. Um, but it'll be a team that's seen coming. It won't be a team that can creep up on you. Everyone's going to expect good things from that. So it's possible. I mean, it could change around. It's a possibility for Miami to run it back and get back there. But we'll see. We shall see, of course. They did it in grand fashion. So now, of course, it it tips towards now the off season, as like I continue to say. Oh, shout out also to Nikola Jokic, NBA champion and the MVP. Of course, getting the MVP last night, 30 points, 14 rebounds, 7 assists a game in the series, to which led him and his team to the first franchise and his first NBA championship, receiving the Bill Russell Award. Um, Jokic, man, it continues to go back to, um, in my opinion, what is the ceiling, or what is it when you talk about these players from different countries, not grown here in the U.S., not U.S. bred players. Of course, Jokic, he's Serbian. He's from Serbia. Um, in which does it make a difference? Can we say that the fact of players of that caliber from the distant lands or from over the foreign players basically compete at a high level early in their career, playing against grown men, some who have already maybe had NBA careers and played in the NBA a little bit, who are a little more polished than just the average person that picks up a basketball, and they go in and compete against them. Because I continue to think about Giannis Antetokounmpo, although he's the greatest of them, but he has brothers that compete too. Um, Giannis, Nikola Jokic, um, what's good? What's going on, MB? How you doing, sir? Glad to have you immersing this morning. Giannis, Nikola Jokic, Luka Doncic. Uh, of course, you got some from the Canadian across the border that's not here. Jamal Murray. Uh, but these foreign players, Josh Giddey. Um, when you start to lay them out there, they are starting to seemingly be the ones that's dominant. Joel Embiid, although he is dual citizenship, these are the ones that are starting to be the dominant players. So what is, I know quote unquote people say what's in the water over there? What is it? What is the formula to building these dominant players, or these players that basically come show up and show out in the US? Is Nikola Jokic, is he gonna be the player that he is currently, at least for the next another 3 or 4 years? After that, who starts to take over in that retrospect? Is it Luca, who we continue to give him the reins, although he continues to drop them? Uh, Giannis, we basically went from, and when you look at who's jostling for those top positions, it's Giannis, Joel, Luca, Jokic, and Tatum. seemingly the last couple of years has been those players that have been at the top of doing it. In which of the when you look at the last 4 years, twice, well, correction, the last 5 years has been Giannis Antetokounmpo, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Nikola Jokic, Nikola Jokic. What probably should have been Nikola Jokic, but it wasn't. But Joel Embiid, last 5 NBA NBA Finals champions have been between three people. Next year, what can we see next year? Expect? Do we see Nikola Jokic run it back and be claims that top spot again after what probably could have been a third year? Do we see another one where it's 3 years consecutively? I mean, it's three. It's been a total of 6 years, but each MVP has claimed the champion their MVP title twice. What is yet to come? I wonder in this the development of the players. Now we have Victor Wembanyama that's coming. That's getting ready to take center stage as he's expected to be the number one overall draft pick by the San Antonio Spurs on Thursday, next Thursday. Is that next Thursday, the 22nd? I'm sorry. I just took a wild guess. I didn't even think. Yes, as it is, the next Thursday. Next Thursday, the 22nd, Victor Wembanyama, Wimby, probably be the number one draft pick. So, I mean, a lot to think about, in my opinion. But for the most part, the finals are done. The Denver Nuggets are victorious. Some good games. I don't think it was, I mean, even though it was a legitimate sweep, I think the series it was a couple of games that was a complete utter blowout. But besides that, it was a good game. They had a couple of good series. I think it had at least three good out of the 5 games. It was at least 3 games that was good. Well, at least 2 games. The final game, the game in which Denver won. Nah, it was only 2 games, maybe even one. Last night was a good game, I think. But the other games, it was even the game in which Denver won. I mean, in which Miami won. You could probably have given that to Denver, because even though all the things that was going wrong, they were still right there at the end of the game. So hats off to Denver Nuggets. Um, Another stat: Nikola Jokic during the playoffs, 600 points scored, 269 rebounds, 190 assists. But enough about Jokic. He's going to continue to do that. You ain't good as what your last year. So we are consistent. We Another year is about to be upon us. Denver are the champions currently, so we'll see how that ends up carrying out going forth. Are they a dynasty? Are they beginning of a dynasty? What is all in the play in the future for them? Bruce Brown, of course, saying made himself a household name. Um, Now going to be looked at. Matter of fact, let me see something. What's going on in from the aspect of for them to be able to see where their free agency. Um, Shout out to the players who never seen the bench, but now they get a chance to wear the ring. Oh, Denver, Denver, Denver. So, of course, as stated, he's probably going to get ran back. Bruce Brown, unrestricted free agent. Thomas Bryant, unrestricted free agent. Um, Jeff Green, unrestricted free agent. It is. That is so true, Lestanton. I agree. I dwell. I thrive very well as a role player, as a supporting cast. Um, so Bruce Brown, stars have to practice on somebody. That is a true statement. Um, so Bruce Brown, unrestricted. Thomas Bryant, unrestricted. Jeff Green, unrestricted. Reggie Jackson, unrestricted. DeAndre Jordan, unrestricted. Ish Smith unrestricted, and then of course two restricted free agents being in Colin Gillespie and Jack White. So um, Gillespie and White get a championship out the gate, rookies, um, as well as Christian Braun. So unrestricted, a player option, Bruce Brown. So I'm very sure he's going to pick up his option and probably going to get an extension as well. Um, both Gillespie and White, two-way players. So it worked out. It ended up working out. But now Denver has to go and reconstruct the roster. Um, basically having their whole core, their winning core under contract. I guess that's not a bad thing. Minus Brown and Green. So now they get to go in and restructure their roster. Um, I think they're in a good place. I think they're even possible to where they can put themselves in position to run it back. Looking at Miami's core, of course, Adonis Hansel is retiring, so he's done. That's the opening in some way, form, or fashion. Max Struess, Gabe Vincent, Kevin Love, the Victor Oladipo, all unrestricted free agents. To see if they're going to even bring any of them back. I can see probably Gabe Vincent definitely coming back. Um, Not everyone else, I'm not sure. Victor Oladipo, due to his injuries, he's probably going to get really well. No, he's a player option, so Victor Oladipo at minimum will be back one more year, in my possibly, or he might go ahead and become, and they might end up even one releasing him or two trading him. But I don't foresee Victor Oladipo uh, playing in Miami next year. He's going to probably opt in, and he's going to probably get released. But yeah, so Davis and Max Strus for the most part. Um, Kevin Love. So some restructuring. Kevin Love was a late pickup, which he didn't do too bad. Udonis Haslam. But technically Kevin Love's already a champion. He won with the Cavaliers, so he has a championship. Almost came close again. So yeah, so a couple of things to work out. We'll end up seeing how it goes. Keep a watch and see how victorious or how they make moves. Of course, like I said, I continue to say it starts Thursday, the 22nd, to get a chance to see who these teams are picking up. The draft order. Let me take a look at the draft one more time. Oh, boop, 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 boop. Oh. Denver has now. Something in my eye. Sorry about that. Could have sworn you traded back up. Let me get the right story. One second, bear with me. I can't find it. But in case Denver did trade back in to get with the OKC. Actually, I know where to find it. They did trade back in. Denver. So yes, it was. So Denver will have the 37th and 40th pick in this draft, um, as they get the pick from the from OKC. And so the Nuggets are acquiring the 2024 first and second round picks and the 2023 second round pick in the deal with the Oklahoma City Thunder, which gives the Thunder the Nuggets 2029 first round pick. So three picks that impact the next 2 years for Denver. Going now, picking the first, uh, getting the 2000 uh, second round, one second round pick, and requiring a first and second round pick for next year, and getting the 23rd 2023 pick for this year. Which I don't know if the 2024 pick next year is actually for um, if actually it goes towards if it's someone else's pick or is it one of their original picks. So um, which might not be that bad of a pick when you look at it for the when you look at it for them because they're going to actually be in they're going to actually probably be in the OKC might not be in might be competitive next year to where that pick might be a low pick as well. So I mean it all works out. It's all strategy. What Don would say, watch DeAndre Jordan and Chris Paul reunite in Los Angeles Clippers retire as Clippers together and possibly Blake Griffin. I don't see it happening, Donovan. Those days are done. I think. I mean, at this point, the only productive one of them is Chris Paul. So, but I mean, anything could happen. Donovan, you sound like you a Clippers fan. I don't know about that. Um, but yeah. So, in any case, I can't say it enough. They went and did exactly what everyone watched. The dominance of Nikola Jokic. Um, it's interesting. So moving on, like I said, moving on. We're moving on, moving on. Um, so talk a little bit NFL for a couple of minutes before we get ready to get up out of here. Um, Now that the NBA has ended, we know we're starting to pick up again. NFL, MLB, NHL is looking to potentially close out tonight. Does the Florida Panthers have what it takes to stave off an elimination and for us to watch the Las Vegas Golden Knights to hold up yet another Stanley Cup championship? We'll possibly see that tonight, or can the Florida do what their counterparts in the city in the state couldn't do and hold off the improbable championship? So that's going down. So tonight, of course, the Stanley Cup Game 5, to where the Las Vegas Golden Knights will take on the Carolina. I mean the Florida Panthers, looking to potentially shut them out and win their series 4-1, or does the Panthers hold them off to force a game six? Is going down. But in any case, like I said, now was started coming to full circle. The NFL is going to be center stage soon, uh, to where a question came up this year: who can be the most dominant or effective wide receiver, quarterback, wide receiver tandem? So if you take a look via NFL.com, they had a list. This list ranks the probability of these quarterbacks, in which they put together. I think it was seven. Correction, 10, 10 of nine potential matches to where they think is going to be a pretty potent. So when you think about 30 teams for the most part, I guess in some instances, if you really take a look at it, there's probably a couple of on each of these squads. There's probably a couple of different ones in which you can go with. But the first and foremost, we'll start off with the New England Patriots. So as we know it, if he has not already, DeAndre Hopkins is expected to visit the New England Patriots to take a look at to see what it would potentially be like for him to go as he is a free agent. But though he is not there yet, there is, however, a tandem out there in which is seen, and that tandem being Mac Jones and Juju Schuster Smith coming in at number Smith Schuster. I'm sorry, coming in at number 9 in who could be the most dangerous tandems in NFL this coming year. Uh, Jacoby Myers is out. Injured Juju coming off a NFL off a Super Bowl championship. Linking back, linking up with Belichick and the crew. Mac Jones and Juju Smith Schuster come in at number 9 for and when it comes down to the top tandems. At number 8, I don't see this one, but hey, who am I? At number 8, the Tampa Buccaneers hold this, which is a little presumptuous, honestly, when I think about it. Just saying that Kyle Trask is not going to be able to get a hold and grasp an offense and becomes the starter in Tampa Bay is unfortunate because Baker Mayfield, in my opinion, has not shown that much prowess when it comes to being a quarterback. But in any case, I think he already has the keys, or he's earning the keys to that offense. And so at number 8 comes in Baker Mayfield and Mike Evans. Of course, you know there's a Chris Godwin is on the opposite side of that, to where they probably go either way. Chris Godwin is a force to be reckoned with in his own, in which ideally, if he can get the ball, he can do some things and make some things happen as well, potentially. So what is the ceiling for that there anyway? In my opinion, um, it's not going to be Tampa Bay's year in the South, in the C South. That may run through New Orleans, but it remains to be seen. But Baker Mayfield, Mike Evans at number 8. At number 7, which could make some sense when you look at this. And there's a lot of possibilities and combinations in this. At number 7, Dak Prescott, and which this is might be surprising, Dak Prescott and Brandon Cooks as opposed to CD Lamb. But again, when you look at that, it can go a bunch of ways. Michael Gallup will be back. Maybe there's a situation to where Michael Gallup starts to get that connection back with him and Dak Prescott. CD Lamb, of course, their number one receiver from last year, and now Brandon Cooks is in the fold. Could it be a development between a chemistry between Dak and Brandon, to where he could potentially have a three-headed monster in D-Town, causing ruckus and fricassee and all that type of stuff? You know what? I might even cheer for you just for the simple fact I would like to see the Cowboys sweep the Eagles. They're going to have to lose in San Francisco, but they need to sweep the Eagles this year. So that's another one. So potentially, I, looking at this and seeing this, this could be something heavenly in Dallas with um, rebuilding the chemistry with Michael Gallup, continuing the chemistry with CeeDee Lamb, and then developing a chemistry with Brandon Cooks. All he has to do is sit back and hit. Only thing that has to do is Pollard has to come back and pick up the form in which he had, and then of course, depending on what happens with if um, they can find a diamond in the rough or find a formidable reserve for Pollard, and they continue with their defenses, Dallas might be a problem out there. So getting into number 6, Jimmy Garoppolo and Devontae Adams out in Las Vegas. So Jimmy comes in, coming off of what possibly could have been a Super Bowl in San Francisco. Of course, his injury put him in dire. Put that out of reach. Wasn't able to play or once Brock Purdy went down and was able to contribute. But you put him in a position to where he has a running game in Josh Jacobs. He inherited Devontae Adams, although um, they lose Waller, but now it puts him in position to Devontae Adams is a good receiver. I don't know. Well, I guess based on it being Jimmy Garoppolo, um, it might be fitting for them as a six. As a, I mean, it's one thing because they're in it. Because if you look at it, I'm very sure because they're coming off injuries, this probably should have been a number one spot for, let's say, a Matt Stafford and Cooper Cup or something like that, or if it was Jimmy Garoppolo and Debo Samuels, but of course, in any case, Debo Samuels. But we don't. There's no. We don't know who the top quarterback is in San Francisco, and we went through three of them. So this is a fair spot in my opinion. At number five, Justin Fields and DJ Moore. Justin Fields coming back off an injury. DJ Moore coming to a new team from Carolina, going over to um, the Chicago Bears. This might work. I think Justin Fields. Honestly, I was be transparent. I wanted Justin Fields in San Francisco as opposed to Trey Lance, but of course, the bigger body in Trey Lance. Not as mobile or saying as quick as Justin Fields, but he does hold the hills his own type of mobility. Wasn't a bad trade off, but Justin Fields I think would have been a better choice in San Francisco. But in any case, it didn't happen. We have Lance, so now what you have is Justin Fields, um, but he did get a receiver in the case. I think he has a couple of receivers. Chase Claypool, he has in the Darnell Mooney, Chase Claypool, Cole Kimmett as a tight end, and then a couple of running backs. I think Chicago might make a play uh, for their division. It might push. You know what? I would even say Chicago could potentially win their division. I don't see Green Bay being effective at least this year. Um, and then, well, I might be a little presumptuous. Chicago or Detroit, one of them. But in any case, I think Chicago's gonna make some noise this year. Coming in number four, this is a very interesting one. And number four, Derek Carr and Chris Olave. So when you say Chris Olave, second year player, as he was drafted last year by New Orleans. Derek Carr, first time playing in New Orleans. For whatever reason, he's very talented. I'm not understanding. I don't get it. But I guess we take in consideration he's been in. He was in Oakland, then Las Vegas, uh, and he holds some records there. Maybe he is better than advertised, so we'll get a chance to see. But interestingly enough, Chris Olave, as opposed to Michael Thomas, is an interesting point and factor. Michael Thomas, I wonder, is he going to be back suited up and ready to go um, in the New Orleans offense? Of course, there's still some things out there when you take in consideration. You don't know what's going to be going on with Alvin Kamara, as I think he's getting ready to stand or go before the courts even later this month or next month. So you'll know what potentially can be going on with Alvin Kamara. But they did pick up Jamal Williams, which is not a bad running back out of Detroit. So I think they found a good replacement or reserve for him, or even to potentially be another 1-2 punch like they did when they had Kamara and what's the name from Alabama? I'm sorry, he slips my mind at this time. So it's a possible. This might not be bad. Still, they have Jameis Winston in the fold, potentially to back up, or um, or to basically to be able to make some other moves. So this might not be a bad one. I don't know. I ain't gonna say it might not be a bad one, but if this is the case, what happens if Michael Thomas comes back and gets back into rare form? What does that look like? What is going to be the output or for Chris Olave and Michael Thomas 1-2 punch as your receivers? Maybe Williams and Kamara as the running back tandem. Um, it might be, like I said, my already are as I stated, I at this point I see the New Orleans Saints being the front runner to win the South in the NFC. At number three, Trevor Lawrence and Calvin Ridley. Of course, you know Calvin Ridley was acquired by the Jaguars last year, which he had to sit out due to uh, the gambling suspension for the whole season. Picked up a wide receiver. Now he comes and gets the chance to do work. Even Ingram as a tight end, receiving tight end, very productive. Christian Kirk and Zay Jones coming off campaigns last year to add Calvin Ridley, who, although he hasn't played in the last 2 years, has showed some promise when he was in Atlanta. Now he's coming back. And he's going to be in Duval. Uh, Kirk Jones, and really Evan Etn. You might have something here cooking in down in Duval with those Jaguars. So that's something to take a look at, keep an eye on. Number three might not be bad. A lot of what ifs, however, when I look at this, we haven't seen Ridley in 2 years. Um, we have Chris Olave is only a year removed. DJ Moore has been good in Carolina. Will he continue to do that in Chicago? However, Devontae Adams is as advertised. Is he a step back? Will he be able to claim that spot that he so eloquently said will go to Justin Jefferson? Is Justin Jefferson in these one of these top two tandems? Of course, Brandon Cook, he's coming, been bounced around. Is he going to be effective in Dallas as he's went through New England? He's went through Los Angeles. He's went through New Orleans. He's been through Houston. So is this the stop him, which is going to produce some for him? And then of course Juju Smith Schuster. Um, so you look at it, Super Bowl winning quarterback. Mike Evans, the Super Bowl winning receiver. Super Bowl winning receiver in Brandon Cooks. Uh, Devontae Adams, I don't think, no, he hasn't won one yet. I don't think. DJ Moore, no. Chris Olave, no. Calvin Ridley, no. And number two, Odell Beckham and Lamar Jackson. Odell Beckham has won a Super Bowl when just coming 2 years removed from his Super Bowl with the Los Angeles Rams. Lamar Jackson finally maybe getting the receiver that he needed, although it may be a couple of years late. But they do have a room with Rashad Bateman. Add lose Zay Flowers. Add Zay Flowers from the draft. Nelson Aguilar there possibly to revitalize his career. And then Odell Beckham currently, when you look at their receiving room, is someone missing? There's someone missing. It's a receiver missing that slips my Devin Duvernay, who was there as well, coming off an injury. So I think Baltimore actually has a pretty good chance. Their receiver room is looking good. Now what they used to do in my is basically clean up that that room when it comes to the running backs because they went through about 5 running backs last year. Now opportunity it's a new year, new time. People heal and are able to come back with a vengeance. So I would say the Lamar Jackson and Odell Beckham is cool, but I don't think I would put them at number two. Yeah, I don't know if they would have been at number two for me. So of course, number one being interesting. Aaron Rodgers and Garrett Wilson get the number one spot for what can be seen as being a dangerous tandem or being the best new veteran wide receiver combos that's out there. Um, that's interesting when you have other tandems like Tua Tagovailoa and Tyreek Evans, Jalen Hurts and AJ Brown, or I mean, I guess you can plug and play either one of those. Matt Ryan and Michael Pittman has proved to be, well, not Matt Ryan because he didn't last long. I don't know what that's going to look like. That might be AJ, Richardson and Michael Pittman Jr. Um, but right now, Aaron Rodgers and Garrett Wilson. Garrett Wilson did have a pretty good season last year, winning the Rookie of the Year. Um, it is arguable that he would have been second to his own teammate Brees Hall had Brees Hall not got injured, and take a different spiel. But Aaron Rodgers, I think, is a little presumptuous to really do that. In all actuality, I think, well, I guess you got to go with that, and then take in consideration they said new veteran wide QB, wide receiver. So Aaron Rodgers, I just don't know. I guess we'll see. We have to get a chance to see what that looks like. I don't. I just don't. I don't believe in Aaron Rodgers at this point. I'm not saying that they're not going to be good in the Nets and the Jets going forth. Maybe in a year or two. Maybe they pick up late in the season. I just think it's going to be a curve that's going to have to be learned, and it's not going to be the best when you take in consideration the position that they're in, the division that they're in, and what they're probably going to be facing. I think it does help out the simple fact that Hackett is his offensive coordinator, where he had the most success at in Green Bay with him as his coordinator. Um, Robert Sala, being a defensive coach, may be able to help out in some regard to give him a little different edge. Maybe it works. Of course, I think they have to get Brees Hall back because he has to come back into that same energy that he had before he injured and went down. So it might work out. It might work out. It just might work out. Won't completely throw it completely off at this point. Um, the Jets release James Robinson. James Robinson, who signed with the Patriots just 3 months ago, less than 90 days ago, is released. As I was getting ready to say before, James Robinson was at one point a Jaguar, where he picked up 1,000-yard rushing season, where Travis Etienne went down. They couldn't play his first year. Then they picked up James. Then he was picked up by the Jets. It was supposed to replace Brees Hall after he went down, which thought was a never good pickup, in which he didn't it didn't pan out. He didn't work. So he ends up going to the the Patriots, replacing Damian Harris, uh, and then 3 months later he's released. It'd be unfortunate, especially for the running backs, as running backs are starting to become what is seen as I'm not gonna say a dying breed, a position that really doesn't hold too much water, I guess you can say. Now, when it comes out, he's released, gone in the wind, able to be picked up. Maybe they run it back and picks up a picks him back up in one of his old even that in, well, potentially in maybe going back to the Jaguars, kick the tires on them, or maybe you could kick the tires on. Maybe Minnesota takes a look at him, knowing that they've given up, got rid of Cook. Madison is currently expected to be the starting running back there. Maybe they give him opportunity so he can try his luck in Minnesota. Uh, so of course, if you remember, Malik Cunningham, running back, a quarterback for the Louisville Card. I mean, for Louisville, oh, the Cardinals. It is the Cardinals. Um, he was a quarterback for Louisville, but now he is going through a position change, uh, reminiscent of players like Julius Edelman, um, Brad Smith, in those in which now he is changing, making a change from quarterback to wide receiver in this Pittsburgh. I mean, in the well, New England Patriots offense. So he was an undrafted free agent, uh, in which he was brought in. and now he's going to be look at the change to help out the Patriots offense and probably preserve his NFL career, making a change. In state is he was an ex quarterback. He probably will be able to play different, you will be utilized in different sets and stuff like that with that in hand. So, New England Patriots doing things a little bit different over there. Bill O'Reilly's in the helm as the offensive coordinator, so making some moves. I wonder was this his own doing or was it asked of him? Um, or how effective can he be? Will he start out practice squad? Maybe get called up. Maybe get some burn as he continues to learn his this new craft and being looked at as like okay, maybe even a emergency quarterback in which San Francisco just went through that. Or this could be a new way to stash. This could be a new way to stash to where he's listed as a wide receiver. You can't take away his quarterback skills. He's listed as a wide receiver so he could be in that instance, he becomes an emergency quarterback playing the wide receiver position. So that's a possibility. That's a way to preserve. So ideally, if a huge a strategy, my hat's always off the strategies. Um, so now, of course, stepping into the 21st centuries, if you have not checked it out, be sure to go over and check out what is now the new dog pound. That's the Cleveland Browns new um, logo, um, picture of a blue dog draped in orange and brown with the white outline. Uh, Not bad looking for. I didn't get a chance to grab it earlier this morning. Not a bad logo. Actually, I'm pretty impressed. I like the logo for the Cleveland Browns. Of how now it will be draped on their threads, um, in which it says more to meet the eye. Let me pull up and see as it gives a breakdown to what every aspect of the the logo has. Of course, is draped with um, uh, the way it's broken down. Mm. So I want to take a little of that. Hold on, let me see something. I like it. I like it, especially when you have for as a marketer, it really takes to sit up and see the ambience, the different breakdowns of a logo. But I won't bore you with that. I basically go if you get a chance, check out the Cleveland Browns page to get a breakdown of what the logo is and how it's broken down. Very intuitive. Hats off to their marketing crew putting that together. Okay, so what's today? So we're at the just past the top of the hour. I will go ahead and cut it here shortly so I can keep me some content for tomorrow, um, in which we'll probably go over a couple of things. The I like to talk about the who's next up in the GOAT talk when we talk about in the NFL. Who are the greatest of all times as we go forth talking about the NFL players. Um, Also, a breakdown now that the first team from the last team in the ABA wins their first title. I would like to talk about the quarterbacks, correction, not the quarterbacks, the teams in the NFL who have yet to receive a Super Bowl win. So that'll be the topic for tomorrow, as well as who's the goats, who's the up and coming goats in the NFL, NBA. Maybe a little conversation about NHL. You never know here. But in any case, I greatly appreciate y'all rocking with me this morning. Um, look forward to speaking to y'all tomorrow. Again, shout outs to the Denver Nuggets on winning their first NBA championship. Additionally, is getting closer and closer and closer. June 7th through the 9th. Men's and women's AAU Battle of the Shields going down in Orlando. If you have not yet got your accommodations to be there to check it out. You need to be there. All of the if there was a conversation going on about who is one of the best NBA military basketball, who are the best military basketball players, and then chances are all those players that was on people's list are going to be in the building, so you'll be able to see them first hand, up close and personal, and to have a whole conversation. I'm very sure that's going to be a whole vibe before, during, and after that. So be sure to tap in, go pull up, and check that out. Until tomorrow, I'm your boy. You know me as your boy Trey, and we look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Peace. Enjoy your day.